We looked at exploring our data set in terms of getting a sense of what are small values, large values. We filtered, we looked at different patterns, those sorts of things, but it was sort of one piece at a time trying to understand our data set. So there are many instances where we'd like to aggregate the data, summarize it in some fashion, and not get into all the detail of the individual numeric values. Like if we're looking at salary, there are all kinds of numbers. And although we've tried grouping them into different categories, that really doesn't summarize anything. So what we can do is use a function within Excel called a histogram. And to do that, first of all, we need to have the data analysis tool pack. So go over to filter, file, and then go down to options. And then in options, there's a thing called add-ins. Takes a minute. And then at the very bottom, it says manage and Excel add-ins. Go. And I've already got mine installed. Say click analysis tool pack and click OK. And that will now appear on the data tab. When you go to the data tab, you'll find on the right-hand side a thing called data analysis. Now, within that data analysis, there is a tool called histogram, and as well as many other different types of statistical functions that we'll look at in subsequent videos. To be able to summarize the salary data, I need to group it into categories. And so I'm going to make up a table to show what the groupings look like. So they're in, use their language. In Excel, they call them bins. And so I want to summarize values that are going to go from 0 up to $650,000, I think. What I need to tell Excel is the top value of each of my bins. So if I've got a bin that is going to go from 0 to 10,000, that I actually don't need to then tell it the next one is 10,000 up to 20,000. I'm repeating things, the 10,000 appears twice. What I can do is just tell it top value, the ending value of the bin. Now, if you recall, when using VLOOKUP to group data and do an approximate match, we did a similar sort of thing. We created a lookup table where we created bins for different values. But there, all we had to give was the starting value of each group. With histogram, you use the ending value. Very confusing. So let me type these in. Notice I don't use commas. Don't do any formatting to it. It just wants these things. If you put in commas, it thinks it's text, unless I've got turned on some formatting features. We don't need that. Oops, excuse me. This is a long list. I really don't want to go all the way up to 650,000. I'm going to be at this a long time. Now there's a faster way to enter these. Oops, see, missed 110,000. Let me go 120,000 and just stop there. And we'll see what it does. So I create these salary bins and I put it in my lookup tables tab. I don't put things in with my data just so I don't get too much clutter. So I'll go back to the data that we are looking at. And this was the salary data we're exploring. And I'm going to go over to data analysis. It gives me a whole bunch of different things. These are really small and hard to read. I can't enlarge it, but there's one in the middle called histogram. Click OK. So, oops, it's already, excuse me. Let me clear these out. I already had some stuff here. Okay. And you start from scratch. First off, I have to tell it where are the values, where are the numbers, where's the salary data. And while the salary data in this, it's in column L, and it's going from L2. Well, actually, I'm going to tell it from L1, and it goes down to L8. 812. Now, I could have gone over and just highlighted that whole thing, and it goes a long way down. Okay. Now, the bin range, I can't see that. Let me go over here to my lookup table. And here, I'm just going to select it. Okay. So it copied it over. And it doesn't show here, but it told it that it was in a different sheet. I've told it I have labels. I've got salary bins up here at the top of my bin, and that with the original data, I've got its salary, the header sitting there. So remember to click off labels if you've got labels up at the top. I like to always put mine in a new worksheet. So again, try not to make things too cluttered. And I'd like chart output. Okay? And when I do that, boom, I get, let me make this bigger so you can see it. So it created salary bins. The first one is 0 to 10,000, then 10,001 up to 20,000, and it's all the way up. And it's given me a frequency count. How many are in each of these? And then there were 9 of them that were beyond 120,000. In addition, it creates a column chart for me. This is a standard Excel column chart. I can go in and format this and change it. I can go and say, I want this to be salary. Okay. And I can change this name. I've got frequency and frequency. I don't need to go and have frequency here. Let me get rid of that extra clutter. And it's given me columns. Now, but the first group is really from 0 up to 10,000 and then 10,000 to 20,000. But this is creating gaps in each of the columns. The general practice is to try to get rid of the gaps, or we should if we're doing it manually. So just click on a column, anyone, and you'll see it all lit up there. Now right click, and it gives you some choices. One of them is called Format Data Series. And over here, it has something called gap width. Just change that to a 0. Boom, there we go. So now I've got my chart. Let me make it a little bigger so I can see the pattern. So you see that most are in the middle here, and we've got a few low ones, a few high ones. It's ignored the blanks. The more group is a little bit deceiving because they aren't all here. You know that they go all the way up to 650,000, which would be many times more than my screen width. But that's a basic histogram, and that's how you do it. Thank you. Bye. Hello. There we go. Stop sharing.